today to Ivory Coast and back to Kenya. So let's start with Ivory Coast, and before we go further into this, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop a comment. Remember, we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. So far we have bypassed 300, and I believe if people really focus on following, we will be so far. How I wish people are following on YouTube like they do on Facebook page. We would be so far. Yeah. And the subscription to our channel is very free. Very free. And then you can be watching whatever you want anytime. Also, press the notification bell just in case you want to follow up with us and be informed about any new video we are dropping. Then you will be so much advantaged. So guys, I really appreciate those of you who are following. I receive your new people every blessed day, and I feel so happy. I feel blessed. I am thrilled at this movement, right? Yeah, a step in life is something to celebrate, right? Yeah, so let's get into our analysis here for today. We begin with Ivory Coast. Of course, remember, some month back I did an analysis here, a reaction. If you've not seen it, go back to it, of the controversial legal aspects surrounding presidential term, right? So President Alassane Ouattara, is it Ouattara or Ouattara? Alassane Ouattara, actually seeking the 4th consecutive term in office in the upcoming election in 2025, was such a controversial matter that has been hitting the social media. And critics have actually argued that this is a violation of the spirit. Yeah, it's a violation of the spirit of the constitution, not just the letters in it. Yeah, and constitutional manipulation is something that is into personal interest. I don't know why African president cannot just learn that you can even be there for 5 years and disappear, but make an impact. What the problem is that most of them don't want to perform, but they just want to be there forever and forever. Amen. And that is the problem Africa experiences. We saw the situation of Zimbabwe. We saw the situation, we have seen the situation of Uganda even up to now. Of course, you remember yesterday I did a reaction to show the disappearance of activists, Kenyan activists. Hey, Wakenya na sisi tuna kierere. We just have even to cross the borders to go stand with a candidate, knowing how dangerous it is. The spirit in Kenya, I don't know. It's just on another level. And I'm looking at that. The people who are doing that are not even Gen Z. They are not Gen Alpha. What about when we reach there? I'm just imagining where you meet students like the generation like those who have been at Litain. What will happen? Yeah, so guys, there has been opposition and election exclusion in Cote d'Ivoire. Of course, several opposition leaders have been disqualified. Of course, you remember Guelame, Soro, we have Charles Blair, Cote, and so many others. They were disqualified, and they were put on procedural or legal grounds just to make sure that they are not going to go through. And tensions were also raised in this country. So even though mass protests rose in the streets, especially Abidjan and Bouaka, yeah, and they were calling for action against what was happening. So far, there is no much development on the same matter. So we have few developments, though, we can say so, because the political party development that have happened is that the African People's Party now, which is PPACI, which was founded by the former President Laurent Gbagbo, is it Gbagbo or Gbagbo? Is now a consolidated force among opposition parties. And I believe maybe such a party is the one that might win over to show us the archetype example of what happened in Malawi. Yeah, so the Democratic Party of Ivory Coast, PDCI, RDA, remains a historical party, actually. But it has had a lot of strains, considering the arrest of the members and all that. Let's hope for the best as we wait for the elections of Cote d'Ivoire to happen. Thank you for the likes. I can see one like there. And I remind you to just take some time and like the video as we proceed. So we've taken about 5 minutes to cover that aspect of Cote d'Ivoire. And of course, I didn't want to show pictures and all that because I had done earlier a reaction on Cote d'Ivoire. And if anybody is interested, maybe they can check on it. At that time, we were doing Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Tanzania, Jamaica, and Uganda. So far, Jamaica has already gone through the elections and we saw it successful with Holiness taking over. Now we are waiting for Cote d'Ivoire, Uganda, Tanzania, and Cameroon, right? Yeah. And we hope for the best, I don't know why democracy becomes a threat to many people, but it shouldn't be a threat, right? It has its advantages to our future. So, back to Kenya. Let's look at other matters. And of course, one of the leading aspects is that Babu has taken the position of the Nyanza kingpin. We were talking about Western and we were not so sure about the kingpin. We were saying it might be Dan Kim. Hi. Welcome to the channel. Like the video, subscribe also if you are new here. And let's go through the journey of political analysis. This is something that really I appreciate because it makes you informed. You understand a lot of things around you and all that is happening. So, Babu Owino has been established as the kingpin of Nyanza. And of course, in Western, we were talking about two people. We are not so sure up to now. In Kisii, I don't know whether it's Maraga or Matiang'i. By now, you can tell us. And in Central, of course, it is automatically Gachagua. While in Eastern, it is Kalonzo Musyoka. Yeah, so we are just waiting for whoever will become the presidential candidate because they have to agree. And if they don't unite, they'll be making the government strong. And one term will not be a reality. What do you think? All right. So let's get to the analysis of ODM. ODM seems to be collapsing, right? Maybe some people will argue that that's not the situation. However, when you see Babu Owino walking out, then you see some candidates dumping Raila Odinga in public. You saw another theory. I don't know these theories from Miguna. What do you think? Why did Miguna have to wake up one day and tell Raila Odinga that he dropped in Kenya while he was studying in Kenya at class 6? He hit one of the teachers with a stone and disappeared. Then his father, being a political influencer, had to take him to Germany. And he studied in Germany a little bit, then went to, I don't know, whatever. These are very hard facts to follow. Anyway, Sir Leslie, welcome. A very good name. I remember Leslie is a name I once heard from Taita Taveta. I don't know kama we ni Mkenya or you come from a different place. Leslie is a common, a unique name. Maybe it's also a surname for different people from different places. So welcome, Sir Leslie and Dan Kim. Very unique names on platform today. So thank you so much for being the top fans here. A very unique name, Sir Leslie. With a golden, label there. Yeah, so thank you. So let's proceed into the political analysis in Kenya, of course. Currently, I don't know if you've heard about the billions that have vanished in stadium scandal, and it's indicated that Kasarani stadium title deed is missing. What the hell is that? Kasarani stadium is one of the biggest stadiums in Kenya. Of course, if you watched football that was happening recently, you saw a lot of games going on right there. And I'm shocked that after the audit of Sports Kenya, there's been an exposure. Wine gifted. Hey, today's names are dropping, very unique names. Dan Kim, Salisli. Then we have the next one, Wine Gifted. Wine Gifted, big up to you. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for showing up here. Today we have been able to have the analysis a little bit earlier. You know, yesterday I did very late. I didn't even know people would watch, you know. Sometimes when you're overwhelmed with the tasks and all that, you don't just see how time flies. They say time flies, all right? Yeah. So it's very funny that there was a shocking research that was done on by an audit by Sports Kenya. And this exposed a very funny, you know, very funny news. Yeah. Indicating that there is a staggering financial mismanagement, stalled projects, missing land documents, and, you know, remember, Kasarani Stadium is very iconic in Kenya, okay? Yeah, so not just Kenya alone, but so many other sports centers have been realized to do so. So let's just check on this. Maisha TV brought this to us. Let's check on this.
Land titles missing from Kenya's biggest sporting arenas. What began as an audit of Sports Kenya has now exploded into one of the most embarrassing scandals in the country's sport management history. At the center of it all, the More International Sports Center in Kasarani, home to Kenya's biggest stadium.
Imagine.
Shockingly, Sports Kenya admitted before Parliament's Public Investment Committee on Social Services that it does not even possess the proper land ownership documents for the over 200-acre site. For years, the agency has been pursuing paperwork from the National Land Commission. The very foundation of our sports flagship project is, quietly, literally, undocumented. But the missing title deed is only the beginning. Lawmakers were stunned when the audit report revealed that the government had already poured billions into stadium projects across the country, projects that exist only on paper. At least 3 proposed national stadiums in Nairobi, Kisumu, and Eldoret were priced at a staggering 42 billion Kenyan shilling. The government disbursed 99.6 million Kenyan shilling for feasibility studies.
Can you imagine? That's a lot of money. Billions, in terms of billions, 99 millions, 44 billions, I don't know how many billions, which have been paid off to many projects in the stadium. None of them is possibly seen. And when we say Kenya has money, some people will come here and make a lot of noise like I'm truly, you know, talking to somebody in particular, you know. I don't know whether these people listen to such news or they close their ears and put off television, you know. Because in reality, if all that money has been poured to the stadium and we can't see those projects having happened, if sponsorships have come the way for, you know, Kasarani, and nothing has been seen, what does this communicate about us Kenyans, you know? Let's listen to this more.
Another 57 million Kenyan shilling
Imagine.
for architectural and project management services. Yet to this day, not a single stone has been laid, not one groundbreaking ceremony held.
Work is a pain in the apps. My files are in this app, my chats in this app, projects in that app. Oh.
Hapa Isiolo Stadium, ile pesa ya taxpayers imezama hapa. Haiwezi kuzungumziwa kwa maneno. Now this stadium was allocated to this contractor, Barrows Construction Company Limited. Wenye Barrows Construction Company Limited wanaitwa hivi: Isaac Ahmed Mohamed Barrow, na mwingine anaitwa Mohamed Ahmed Barrow. Alafu company secretary ni Apel Alois Kwengu. This company was allocated this tender to build this stadium. I've been looking at the records, and the only records I'm able to get is from the controller of budget. From the controller of budget, I'm able to get that during the
Parliament with more questions
on who are the contractors of these 6 stadiums. Zimekuwa zikitusumbua sana hapa ili kujua Karatu Stadium, Kirubia Stadium, Wote Stadium. Kipchoge Keino Stadium, Ringu Stadium, and Kasarani Stadium. But you know what is very important? This information is available in the public domain. All the information that I'm presenting up every set in vitu zangu, they are from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Parliamentary Committee reports, Sports Kenya reports, and most important, the Auditor General. Stadium ya kwanza, Karatu Stadium in Kiambu County. Contractor was Smith and Gold Productions Limited. Smith and Gold Production Limited, checking on the information in Oniwana Emerging Capital Holdings and Alois Kinyanjui Kuria. Emerging Capital Holdings is 100% owned by Moses Kuria, the former member of Parliament of Gatundu South, and Alois Kinyanjui Kuria is the brother to Moses Kuria. In short, this company belongs to Moses Kuria, and remember, this is also the same time he was the member of Parliament in that area when this thing was awarded. Kuje hapa kwa Kipchoge Keino in Uasin Gishu, and I'm sorry last time tulisema ni Nandi pole iko ni Uasin Gishu County. Phase 1, then kulikuwa na phase 2. So phase 1 went to this Chinese owned company, Weihai International Economic and Technical Cooperative Company Limited, abbreviated as WIETC. They handled phase 1.
Guys, I don't want to go to details of all that, but if you check with the sports arts a report as well as anti-corruption report on mismanagement under stadiums, you'll get all those details. Can you imagine? While we are here complaining there's no money in Kenya, a lot of money has been paid off to companies that have not done anything. Now, a deep research into who owns the companies leads us to some of the leaders that have been very much outspoken. You know, now I come to look at Moses Kuria the other day while he was attacking Gachagua, and I'm like, so you're not clean, bro, all right? How much would they just consume? If this is just a tips of iceberg, how much else have they consumed? Anyway, let's turn back to MORARA. MORARA is one of the people that was really exposing a lot of ills in Kenya before citizens turned against him. Now, how did it happen that citizens turned against such a whistleblower? All right, so you will understand that it happened that the whistleblower was actually, pinned down, and he was, there are some pictures which were taken after he was threatened around. We saw him being taken some pictures with Isaac, all right, the spokesman. So since then, the citizens began to call him a project, and he felt so disillusioned because he had done so much. You know, it's not easy for someone to sacrifice and even risk. We remember there's a time he almost got an accident, and with a young family, they were coming for him all the time. And he even testified that he's living a life whereby he knows one day he'll die, But it happens. Within no time, we saw him walking away from the same thing that he was working for. And he had sworn to work for it until he becomes a presidential candidate. Now, let's come here and see how he's actually trying to communicate to Kenyans, particularly the haters. There is a time whereby MORARA was so much loved, but then there are people who came in to create him an enemy. And they tried to say that he was forming walls to collect money and all that. And of course, it overwhelmed him alongside other attacks. I know he may not reveal, but there's more. So here there is something here. Let's listen to him.
Even when we are not okay, but me, I'll say the truth. One of the most painful things that happened to me this year and last year was the social media bullying and okay, for a while I was able to assume it and focus on my goals, but it got to a point where it became too much. It got to a point where it was even being spoken in my family WhatsApp groups, and I felt betrayed by the people I was trying to fight for. I was trolled, I was insulted, I was called a conman, a beggar, and it's okay for a leader to be called names, it happens. But you dragged me down, you deflated my energy, you crippled my wheels. I started feeling like if the same people I'm fighting for are not supportive of what I'm fighting for, then afadhali hata niwachane nayo nirudi kwa biashara yangu nifanye vitu zangu. Now, well, I managed to leave that politics for a while. I don't know whether I've left it forever or whether I'll do it someday in the future.
Julius
Kinotia,
welcome.
My personal business, make my own money. I'm peaceful, eat my food, Ivo pole pole too, and spend time with my friends and my family. But you cost me immeasurable amount of pain. You staki kudanganya, and I don't want to pretend that I was okay or that I'm okay with it. I've never healed from that thing. It was so painful because I'm somebody who lived my life for over 20 years being a person of integrity, a person of reputation. Sijai chukua kitu ya mtu, sijai hata nikikosea mtu, I'm sorry. I always made sure that I live with values. Lakini nyinyi mkakuja mkanichafua, mkanipaka matope, mkaniita conman, beggar. Haja yangu ni pesa ya Wakenya. When in actual sense, the money that was contributed to me versus what I spent was so little. Yenye nilikontributiwa kwangu versus yenye nilitumia ni mingi. I even spent my own savings, trying to move around the country. Nobody even appreciates that I went 29,000 kilometers, 34 counties, which is something that nobody else has done, You were trolling and pulling me down as if you can do what I was doing. Now I left it. Now you've not done it. Hakuna mtu ameifanya. Because you've come to realize that it was not easy. It came with a lot of risk, a lot of dangers, because our unakosea, these contracts that you are exposing are people who've made millions and billions. People with capability and with power. But anyway, mulini troll, mukasema nini, squeeze mimi, I don't take anybody's money. Nobody has contributed anything to me. I am just making my own money, my own personal business, and I pray to God to help me succeed. But one thing I'm sure is that the consequences of us failing to do the change that we should have done will be more painful on you who trolled me than on me. Hiyo ni kitu niko sure kabisa. Yani consequences za sisi kutoleta yale mabadiliko ambayo tungeleta kama tungepewa nafasi na support.
What does a pool day in Dubai look like? Oh, it looks like this.
Alright, so Morara Kebesa actually was talking to the haters or citizens who attacked him a lot. And he was indicating that he was bullied so much on social media. His family was attacked and he felt so low. He was deflated. He stopped his mission that he was working for, a mission that was targeted to save Kenyans. And of course, there are Kenyans who would say he's a project, he's all that, until they pulled him down. And of course, in most times, that's what happens. Even Jesus Christ was betrayed. And when he left, he had to say they didn't know what they are saying, so Christ forgive them. But I don't know whether there's another chance that we will keep being forgiven as we keep messing, It's difficult because it's like our generations are not learning and many people are not learning from the mistakes, right? Yeah, and it's not just Kenya, maybe it's other countries too. But we can dig into that and find out, maybe for example, Uganda, Tanzania, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, what happens right there. All right. So Morara is actually very bitter while talking about that. But he's promising that those who will suffer will be the common Kenyans. I don't know why he was there to tell people that nothing much has changed in his life. That he's still eating the best food, he's still driving, he's still, making money and doing his business. Anyway, that's how much Kenya can slap you in the face. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. So currently, I hope you also know that Gideon Moi has decided to vie for the position of the position of the MP in Baringo, right? And this seems frustrating to both the government and maybe other parties. And of course, we heard Ndwale saying that Gideon should go away with his nonsense. I was like, is politics nonsense again? Why is it nonsense? is it nonsense because Gideon actually has decided to buy in a position whereby he wanted to place his own? Now remember, currently, the government is fighting to have its members in most of the places. And it may be unfortunate if they lose here. Now Gideon, of course, was saying that he doesn't have very serious differences with Ruto. However, Ndwale decides to argue out and say that the only thing that Gideon has is the Moi name, but there is nothing more. How true is this? You know, when I look back at Uhuru Kenyatta, I did not expect Uhuru Kenyatta would have come out and vie and win in Kenya. However, it happened. So I can't find this funny at all. You know, Kenya is Kenya. Anything can happen. What you don't believe will happen will surely be. And what you think will not come to pass may not. Okay? So let's check into something else. Let's check into something else. Gloria Orwoba and her shenanigans with Matiang. Let's just check on this.
Do you understand what's going on?
First, and a full disclosure, on this panel, I'm the only one from Kisii. I'm the only one who's a relative of Dr. Fred Matiang'i, and I'm the only one who can actually give you information that you should hold dear and say, Oroba lituambia. He has 2 points it's understandable. Because there was an expectation that Dr. Fred Matiang'i would mobilize a regional party, and through the regional party, because politics is local, a regional party that is associated with that region would sell better so that he can have 100% of that region, or at least even 80% of that region, and then come to the table to join forces. Which is, this game, you cannot redefine the game. You can't. You can try to tweak it a little bit, but you cannot redefine the game. The game of Kenyan politics is regions. The game of Kenyan politics is you are associated by where you come from. That is where at one point, tunasema watoto wote watahesabiwa nyumbani. So you go back home, uhesabiwe. So, and there is a positive in that. Indeed, if he had a regional party, if that is the pattern he had followed, it would have been easier for him to mobilize literally 100% Kisii and Nyamira, and even stretch out to Migori and parts of Luo Nyanza. It would have been easier for him to do that, and it wouldn't have taken a lot of resources, because already in Kisii County, if you stand up and talk nonsense about Matiang'i, you are as good as finished in any political arena or in any leadership arena. So it would have been easier, because then the people from Gusii region and Nyanza would have felt, just like Natembeya and the rest, that now we have this outfit that is ours. Now we are using it to go to the national platform. That expectation is very well valid, because that is the formula of politics in Kenya. I also feel when he talks about when Dr. Fred Matiang'i was seen with certain individuals, it created a level of mistrust. It's the same way when I went to pick him up at the airport, and people know me at that time for being a fierce defender of William Ruto. But when they understood what had happened and how I just needed to be able to guide the people and tell them, guys, listen, I've been in that kitchen and I know they are poisoning you. And, this is my cousin. I wanted to see what it's about. I went to pick him up. So there was some sort of, at the beginning, like, what is Oroba doing with Matiang'i? But with time, they saw that indeed my intentions were very clear and with clean hands movement. Because there's a lot of talk that Raila wants to leave the broad base and he wants to join Fred Matiang'i. And there are things that even as a politician, if I see that happening, I will know, okay, we are doomed, because we might be sitting in the same merry-go-round where you are pushing this kind of change, this kind of movement, because now we want to liberate this country. And then ahead of time, people join in and you think that they're forthright, and maybe a little thing.
I got my 20-yo face shape back at 35.
Let him engage. This statement, the gallery of presidents and the institutions of retired presidents should be revered. They can't reduce themselves to this kind.
All right. So that is a discussion. Of course, Senator Onyonka came out just some days ago to roast Gachagua. But before we go to that, what was Oroba saying? Oroba was revealing so many things here. And of course, she was trying to define the Kenyan politics. Do you agree that Kenyan politics are regional? And that I've said here for a very long time. However much people call some other individuals tribalistic and not national, in Kenya you cannot run to be a president before you talk to your people on the ground. Impossible. Impossible. You cannot stand out as a governor before you go to your village and talk to your villagers, and then from there you begin to sell the narrative of what you can do for the entire constituency or rather county. It's so impossible, you know. So you have to marshal friends, you have to marshal your villagers, you have to marshal, you know, as you expand slowly by slowly before you get where you want to be. So the aspect of people believing that we have tribalists in the nation while others are not, I think is neither there nor there, or null and void, I may say. Yeah. So the reality is that in Kenya, politics is regional and it's defined from home. People will look at how much home you have influence at home before they can see how much you have at a national level. Okay? Meanwhile, there is a speculation that after Matiang'i has been dropped from the opposition, Maraga is the next person that Gashaguas are targeting. How true is this? And what do you think? Maybe you can drop a comment what you feel about this next move. What do you think will happen? Anyway, let's go back to Onyonka. Onyonka also did some roasting of Gachagua, and we may be ending with that story.
The facts are very simple. You have different political parties. Whether you like it or not, whether these parties are tribally based or not, you are a Kenyan. You understand where we are. My candidate, Fred Matiang'i, believes that in his thinking, he'd rather pick a party that stands at a national level. It may not be popular. I mean, if you are saying that he is Mr. Fix-It, then why don't you give him a party which broke down so that he can fix it and leave it as a running entity? And in that relationship, the reason why I picked Jubilee was simply because Uhuru is the one who picked some boy from Kisii who nobody knew and gave him an opportunity to serve in that government. So Fred feels like he wants to actually be part of Jubilee. And yet in reality, you have those ones who feel that because, oh my God, I think, why don't we go like everybody has gone? I mean, everybody's picking their tribal parties. So why don't we pick a tribal party, run with it, and then after that we can figure out and go and negotiate our percentages.
All right. Onyonka started frying Gachagua from there because exactly that is the ideology of Gachagua, which is almost like a type of what happened last time during the election. I don't know whether people really support this or they think it's a barbaric way that will always consider people based on votes and favors based on how much they voted and brought on the table. Let's continue to listen. I really target to listen something here before I get to the end of this. Why is it not playing?
Why you should never wrap your credit card in tin foil. I met a former scammer who made over $10,000 a day.
With dignity. I would like, if Fred Matiang'i is my candidate, which he is, and we are going to Trans Nzoia, we'll go to Kitale and he'll campaign and nobody insults him and he makes his case so that we allow Kenyans to make a decision on what they want to do.
But in the spirit of unity of the party,
yes,
we have also the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, prevailing or maybe asking, saying him to step down from Jubilee and take a small party outfit.
As far as I'm concerned, those are discussions which have started taking place now. We had never discussed that.
Never discussed?
No, we've never.
So we've never...
Now we have to engage formally.
So what is his reaction? What is his response to this?
Gachagua is reasonable.
No. I'm talking about Matiang'i. What is his response?
Oh, Fred is willing for us to discuss this. We are in the opposition, you see.
So in the
like my colleagues here think that because of what is happening, then you see we are going to leave the opposition and go and join them. We are not.
And we are welcoming you.
No. Why would I want to go to a sinking ship? We are not.
That's a very wrong statement.
We are not.
So people are wondering also, with
Yes.
the Jubilee that you're fronting Dr. Matiang'i.
Yes.
We have questions being raised. I was just here and with the chair of the Jubilee Party.
Yes.
Honorable Kituri saw him, and we asked questions regarding this. If truly you are in one spirit, why then are we taking jabs against one another? Why are we talking so condescendingly against one another? Yet we are the united opposition.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? You mean you never saw the videos where in Kalonzo Musyoka was in Mombasa and Raila was telling him to sit down and don't move? And we are all in the opposition. These are the teething problems.
But technically, Raila Odinga and Kalonzo, you can't call that opposition.
No, I'm talking about when we were when we were in Mombasa.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was about 10 years ago.
Or 10 years ago.
When ODMK split from ODM what? Whatever it was.
ODM original.
The original, which
ODM Asili.
Exactly.
Correct.
All these challenges come in when you have democracy. Even in America today, you have people who think certain individuals, certain people, that he's fighting harder, he's the person we want, in fact, these other guys are too soft. That is going to take place, for which was to bring some ideology. You see, Kanu, we were really there as offsprings of this.
So of course you realize that there's a high possibility that Matiang'i finally is going to create a new party and he will be joining the opposition alliance, right? If I'm not wrong, that's what is going to happen. So we will end here. Today I've just done a video of 36 minutes. Thank you so much for those who showed up, and let's meet another time. Bye-bye. Acha yananisumbua sije kwa nini.